All right, guys, welcome back to the new episode of the Hammer and Chisel Performance Podcast. I'm your host, John Heck. I've got a guest on here I'm fired up about. Before we get into that conversation, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors for today's podcast, Troponent Supplements. I'm repping their bodybuilding tee, the hat, and of course, before every podcast, I take an ATP, 300 mgs of caffeine, and powerful nootropic in there, and just like the limitless pill for me, so I can think, I can just talk off the dome and have a good conversation with some of my amazing guests. So I'll touch on them a little bit later, guys, but go check out Troponent Supplements. They're awesome. So anyway, getting into this episode. So the guest I have on today, coming from the realm of the top in pro strongman. So Lucas Hatton, welcome to the show, man.
How's it going, man? It's the top of the top statement that came pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hell of a couple of years for you, man. I mean, it's a pretty accurate statement. I mean, you've been standing on top of some pretty important podiums here recently.
Yeah, there's a guy stopping me from standing on the top, but I'm trying. I'm trying. I think we've had some really good preps over the last 2 years. Good steady build. Yeah, if you told me where I'd be right now 2 years ago that I'd be here, I'd be like, no way. Like, I thought this was a couple more years away. But yeah, we're just on a good roll, and I'm just riding the momentum.
Hell yeah. Well, let me just rattle off a few of your recent accomplishments. And if I'm missing anything or if I'm butchering anything, jump in. But so 2-time America's Strongest Man recently here, 23 and 24. Second place, North America's Strongest Man, 23 and 24. Second place at the Arnold Amateur in 23, and now most recently second place at the Arnold Pro here this past March. So I mean, shit, 2023, that was a damn hell of a year.
Yeah.
America's Strongest Man, second place, North America's Strongest Man, second place at the Arnold Amateur. So I mean, it's just been a boom takeoff trajectory for you.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. In each show, like, because I got a bit of a podium streak going, and I wasn't even aware of it until Strongest Man on Earth at Shaw Classic. I was like, oh yeah, we're doing pretty good. And then after Strongest Man on Earth, I started referring to it, like, actually saying the words podium streak. I was just like, oh, I'll probably lose it at Strongest Man on Earth. I thought maybe I'd get like, 6th or 7th, maybe like 5th at best. And then we ended up 3rd at that show. So we're keeping it alive. We're 8 podiums now. And I think Hooper's the only one with a longer streak than that, but he's way ahead. I think he's at like 24.
Yeah, Hooper's been absolutely insane to watch, but I mean, it's been a lot of fun watching you. I remember, so I first became aware of you, I think it was 2018, maybe 2019 or so. And we've got a couple mutual friends, and I remember seeing some of your training on Instagram and thinking like, okay, here's a dude with a hell of a press, and he's a, super static, strong dude. And you see a bunch of these guys every now and then, and that's all they are, right? They're just static guys, and they never go anywhere in the sport. And without really looking further into you, I kind of just assumed that's probably what you would be. And then a few years later, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's legit. Mm-hmm. And it's just been taken off ever since. So was 2018, was that your first official year in Strongman?
Yeah. I think I'd done one local show in 2017. I graduated college in 17, and for a couple of years I just kind of traded back and forth. Powerlifting meet here, strongman show here. But I very much thought of myself as a powerlifter. I think the shift to strongman really came like 2020. That was my first amateur nationals. And I think one of your old clients, Dylan, one of your buddies, I think that was the first time we were against each other. Might have been the next year. But yeah, I didn't really take strongman super serious until 2020. That was like, okay, I got the bug now. I have to keep doing this.
What was the inspiration for initially even making the switch?
Yeah, I think I was just not done competing. I went into track and field coaching. I was coach throws for a couple of years at the high school level, and I kept sticking around after practice, still throwing. I'm like, but I'm not going to be an Olympic thrower. I'm nowhere close to that. I was good, but not anything like that. So I was like, I need to compete in something. And I always loved weight training. A lot of friends just assumed that I majored in like kinesiology or something like that. I didn't. It was just enough of an interest that people thought that that's what I was doing. And I just I really had a love for training, and that was very easy to convert into powerlifting because powerlifting is just training. Um, but it wasn't athletic enough for me. Um, I came from football and track, and I just felt like my athletic side was kind of wasted on powerlifting, and I was just getting bored of it. So strongman was that kind of that bridge of like heavy quality training, and then also like an outlet for the athletic side of me. So
Yeah, and I want to get into your athletic career here. So I'm a former football player myself. I played offensive tackle at the University of North Carolina. When I got done playing ball, I got into powerlifting too. And the same thing as you. I was like, I loved training, I loved lifting, but it didn't quite scratch that same athletic itch that I still had, like strongman did. But a lot of people, they get into strength sports, they just don't have access to a strongman gym or the equipment, or they don't know how to even get into it. Was your gym that you were training out of, it was already equipped with strongman stuff, or did you kind of have to find a place?
it was a little bit here and there, and just by, it's so cool how, like one interaction you think is just an insignificant thing, and then those are the people that change your whole life. Like I did my first local strongman show, um, and in that show, I competed against a guy named Saul Peterson, uh, who, and then in the crowd was a guy named Ryan Terry, and those two dudes started a tiny strongman gym 30 minutes up the road from me. Like a year later, I was very happy in my little powerlifting gym. It was a good gym, had some strongman stuff. But I was like, oh, those are just some buddies I've competed with one time. Fast forward a couple of years, long story short, those are now my business partners. And that little gym is Dungeon Strength, like one of the top strength sports gyms in the country. Um, it's just like, it's crazy how like I just met those guys at a show. They were just some buddies. And then I slowly started driving up to train at their gym. And it's, hey, can I mop the floors at your gym? Hey, can I buy into your gym? And then they were essentially my first sponsor when I took the leap and quit my day job that paid well. I was like, I'm going to basically work for minimum wage at the gym. And eventually they let me buy in, and it's crazy. It's just that one interaction literally like changed my entire life. And now I'm sitting in a podcast studio at the second iteration of our gym. It's just full circle wild stuff, man. Like you would have never thought that one strongman show I went to it changed my entire life.
That's cool. Yeah, it's crazy how, you meet that one person, you just have that one random event that just kind of snowballs into something big. Like, I worked in football strength and conditioning for the last 9 years, and it was always like, you never know that one little connection you're going to make who's going to end up being a guy who's looking to hire you, or a guy who's recommending you down the road or whatever. So, but I mean, it's cool to hear that you got in, you're doing the grunt work, the blue collar stuff, mopping floors. You always kind of had that just blue collar work ethic to you?
Yeah, so my dad for 40 plus years was a pipe fitter. He drove well over an hour to Seattle. He worked really, really hard to provide for me and my brother. Like we never had to worry about anything. I couldn't be more thankful for that guy. Honestly, like sitting at the gym right now, he helped me fix some stuff a couple hours ago. He's retired now. He came up for the day and just helped me with some stuff. I hit the jackpot with parents, just of an example of like how to work, detail oriented, all that kind of stuff. And it wore off on me big time. My mom spent her whole career in like, my grandpa was a serial, one business to the other. My mom spent her whole career making sure those businesses didn't burn down. So I had a lot of really good examples of just working, and I wasn't, my first kind of job was, basically janitorial work at the business my mom was running. And, like, yeah, I had an easy in, but it was just like, I was just some kid to go mop, go clean toilets, go do all that stuff. And, I still do that stuff a little bit. Thankfully we've grown big enough that we have some staff now.
Yeah.
And the two employees we have literally saved my life. They've changed my whole quality of life. When we were at the old gym, I just did everything. So I was trying to juggle the strongman career, a little bit of a day job on the side, and 100% of the 24-hour gym work, all of that work. So I'm very thankful for the staff and how it's grown. But yeah, I've hit the jackpot with parents, and I couldn't be more thankful.
That's awesome, man. Are you a full-time strongman at this point now?
Yeah. I still do. My income comes from a couple different places, but yeah, like that, and that happened really fast. And I understand how much of like a luxury and a blessing that is to like I made some decisions a couple years ago that at first resulted in me being very, very broke. So I coach, I have 22 or 23 clients right now, which is on the upper end of what I'd want to do. But most of them are Dungeon Strength members. So I prefer to be kind of in the room. So I do quite a bit of coaching. The gym is starting to make a little money now, but it's still like, we're still at a stage of like, if we're making money, we're reinvesting, we're buying equipment, we're doing all that stuff. So the gym's not a huge income source. And then Strongman for a long time was $0. And now it's the prize money, I've been very, lucky to be in a position I'm in with the prize money, and, sponsors have been good to me. I've got 3 sponsors right now. It went from 0 to, somewhat sustainable pretty quick. I'm not rolling in the money right now, but I can take a deep breath, which is not something a lot of strongmen get to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. So I love seeing guys like you who are able to make a legitimate career out of this. I mean, my passion was always in strength sports, and so few people ever have the opportunity to really just be a full-time professional lifter or strongman competitor. So it's cool to see. Was there like a conversation with the parents, your dad, you just touched on your parents telling them like, hey guys, like I'm going all in, I'm being a pro strongman, I'm quitting my job type thing? Or were there people in your life who didn't buy into this, who doubted you?
It's funny. I had a couple friends that very much told me it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because I quit my day job to be a full-time strongman before I was a professional strongman. It was more like, let's quit this. I was running a security company for a number of years. 7 or 8 years deep into this. It was paying well, good company. They supported me completely, but something about that role, mental health was kind of in a spiral for a couple of years, and I've gone struggles of up and down, and it was at its worst when I was, towards the end of that job, and I was just like, I need to make a change. So that's why I was okay with like, I wanted to get out so bad that I was like, I would rather sweep and mop floors for minimum wage at a place I like than make, good money on a life that I hate. I just had to get out. It wasn't like anybody was wronging me or anything in that job. It wasn't a good fit for how my mind functions and what I was doing. So I just really had to get out. My parents were supportive. My mom was cautious, for sure. There were points in the period of my life where I was very, very broke in between, where she was like, hey, maybe we should do something else. But no, my dad has always been like, he took a lot of risks, did a lot of dumb things when he was younger, and really got his life together in his late 30s and in his 40s. So he's just like, you know what, take your risk now, go all in. And they've been there at every show. They're retired, and like my brother jokes that my dad's second job is being like a quasi strongman coach and fan. After his main career was done, and that's what it is. He's so invested in stuff. He's been with me the whole time, from when I had $0 to standing on the podium at the Arnold. Like it's been cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I'm glad to hear that you've got a good circle of support around you. And I mean, the last couple of years, I'm sure it's been incredibly validating to you. Like I'm sure you go into this thing like it's a risk, it's a gamble. I understand. I made a gamble recently, leaving football, a salaried position, to just work for myself and do my own thing. And then when you start having success, it's just like, fuck yeah, man, I was right. I knew it. I was right. So I'm sure you've had a lot of that here lately, and it's well deserved. And I'm sure there's only more coming. So you're 6 weeks out now from World's Strongest Man. So by the time you guys were looking into this, we'll be just a few weeks out. So man, your first World's Strongest Man, how you feeling?
It's cool, man. It's I think from the point when I became a strongman fan to now, the landscape of the sport has changed a bit. Like when I first started getting into the sport, it was just like, there's World's Strongest Man and then also the Arnold. And now there's the Arnold, World's Strongest Man on Earth, and Rogue. And the prize money's different, the exposure's different. There's different reasons people love all those shows. And it's kind of getting referred to like in golf terms, like the 4 majors. Yeah. So like, to me, like, yes, it's World's Strongest Man. For a lot of people, World's Strongest Man is like the pinnacle of the sport. And to me, I'm getting to go to another one of the majors. Like, it's cool, but it's like, to me, all 4 of those shows have their, like, this, I have a reverence for kind of all 4. But yeah, I'm nervous, excited, all those things, because I mean, Worlds is still the one we grew up watching, all the guys on TV flipping tires and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool for its own reasons.
Do you, in your opinion, I mean, you sort of just answered it now, but in today's day and age, do you feel like one of those 4 shows has become more prestigious than others? Is there one that you personally, it's a favorite to you?
I've heard a lot of guys make different arguments on this. There's a lot of guys that are very still World's Strongest Man loyal, as being the pinnacle of the sport. And to be fair, it still has the biggest international exposure. Like, every guy that's won World's Strongest Man in recent history is much more well off than they were before, just from, endorsements and all those kinds of things. So I'm not saying Worlds isn't one of my top priorities, because it is, but to me, Strongest Man on Earth is my number 1 show of the year. Like, that is, I think it's the best contest of who the strongest strongman is.
Yeah.
And to me, that means something, just from just as like the idea of what the show is too, just being, kind of what Shaw stands for and what they're trying to do with that show.
Right.
I would put Strongest Man on Earth a tick above the other 3. I haven't got to do Rogue yet. I've heard really, really good things, but I would say my Super Bowl for the year is Strongest Man on Earth. But this is still big time coming up in a few weeks.
Understood. Well, I will be at Strongest Man on Earth. I've actually got a nutrition client competing. His name is Josh Spurgeon. So I'll be on site doing comp day nutrition for him. I'm excited to see it. I've not been to that show. I was at the Arnold here in March, and it's funny. So I was representing the Troponent Supplements, and that's from the bodybuilding world. So I'm hanging out with the bodybuilders, and they're all looking up at me. I'm 6'7", 330, and they're like, "Oh, you're the biggest guy I've ever seen," this and that. I go back stage to the strongman where you guys are warming up for the deadlift, and I'm getting shit like, "Oh, you're undersized, pretty boy. When are you going to gain some weight?" This and that. So I mean, I come from the football world, seeing 6'6", 6'7", 300 plus pounds dudes. That's nothing new to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when you go back there, it's always a humbling reminder how much bigger you guys are. What are you weighing right now?
I'm just about 365, 370.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty comfortable weight for you?
It's getting more comfortable. Food has been a struggle for me my whole life.
Yeah.
It's with the mental health struggles and everything. It's the first thing that I've struggled with. I'm in so much better of a routine with it. I've been, just checking the boxes, very consistent. And, I've been tied to the number going down, but I keep having people at the gym be like, "Oh, you look like you're leaning out. What do you weigh right now?" And I'm like, "I weigh the same as I did at the Arnold, but the composition's changing a little bit." So I'm feeling in a better place about what that number is. Just because conditioning wise, how I feel day to day, all that kind of stuff is improving. And I just kind of have to accept that over time, that body weight number is just going to go up or recomp or whatever. Like, there was a time when 350 was the comfortable weight. I don't know if I'm going to be there, right? Like, it might be 360 now or 365 or, so kind of it ebbs and flows.
Well, there's really no such thing as an actually comfortable weight when you're over 300 pounds. I mean, there's just relatively comfortable for what you're used to. But I mean, still, if you've ever experienced being over 300 pounds, I mean, it just takes a toll on you, man. I mean, I'm sure you'd probably agree. It's the hardest part is just maintaining your size, the eating, the training is the fun part, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess with me, like, that struggle to maintain size has literally never been a problem.
Yeah.
I have steadily put on about 10 pounds a year for like 13 years.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I feel like I haven't consciously tried to do that. I just, getting the scale to go up is something I'm very good at. Getting the scale to go down is the struggle.
Well, that's an issue you probably won't have to worry about for several more years until you're you're retiring and you got to go into the weight loss phase. But how tall are you?
6 foot.
6 foot. Have you had to deal with the short guy narrative getting into strongman?
Yeah. I'm listed as the shortest guy on the roster, but I full-heartedly believe that there's 2 or 3 guys that are my height or shorter that list themselves at 6'1" or 6'2". So I think there's a couple guys right at 6 foot or 5'11". It is kind of funny. Like I just kind of lose perspective. Cause in the back room at like the Arnold, I'm big. Like I'm one of the higher body weights. I'm not small, but I'm the shortest. So I don't think of myself as being like a gigantic person, and I kind of am. I forget that like at most NFL games on a Sunday, I would be the heaviest person aside from maybe one D tackle.
Right.
Like
What was your playing weight as when you played football?
I mean, I played at a smaller D3 school. I was 250 pounds at my biggest. I was like a pulling guard in a very it was a perfect system for being the technical fast lineman.
Yeah.
It was, cross blocks, cut blocks, pulling, blocking in the open field, a lot of angles. If I was in like a zone system, I wouldn't have been anything.
Right.
But I was by far the smallest lineman out of our starting five. We had like most of the other guys were 285, 300, maybe I think 320 was our right tackle. Like, so I was at 250. I mean, D3 linemen aren't gigantic by any means. There's that huge size step up. I feel like as you go, it's probably the most noticeable from D3 to D2 to D1. You look at the linemen, just the overall size.
Yeah, and then you look at the lower levels. If you do have the big guys that probably can't move, or if they can move, they're undersized. If they're the right size, they can't move. Right?
Yeah, like if you're 300 plus and 6'6" and you're in D3, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, exactly. Were you? Did you play all 4 years?
No. So after high school, I was kind of burnt out on football. I just thought I was going to do track. And the track coach I went to PLU for, the throws coach, he got let go after my first year. So I didn't like the new throws coach, and I was like, okay, I miss football. I'm gonna go back to football. So my junior and senior year, I went back and played football. I nearly stuck around and did a master's just to finish out my eligibility because I was just having fun with it, but couldn't justify that at the D3 level. They were trying to find some ways to get maybe some academic scholarship money for it, to figure something out. But no, I'm not gonna stick around go into extra student debt just to play some more football. So
yeah, that was probably smart. Were you always the strong guy when you were playing ball? Were you the strongest guy in the team type of thing?
Yeah. Weight room strength was something that always came kind of natural to me. Like I wasn't on day one the strongest, but I was. I very early on, I kind of know where this came from, but very early on, I made this direct correlation between weight room improves, the field improves. And I put in a lot of extra time in the weight room in high school and in college. I don't know if I have a single teammate I can think of that trained more than me. I just got a deep love for just training early on. And I had a couple key coaches that really invested some extra time in me. So yeah, that very quickly became, you're the strongest guy on the team in high school. And then I started on the football team in college as a junior, and day one, strongest guy on the team.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things, like the O-line coach knew I was at the school, I was a thrower, and he's like, you're the number one recruit I want. You're already here. Just play football.
Right.
He's like, if you just join the team, you will start, because I saw you play in high school. So
they're just coaching and strength and conditioning in football for the last 9 years. I was, worked in the NFL and in Division I football. I was always just very biased about strength sports. Strength sports are my real passion. So I'd always, with our strong guys in the weight room, I'd always try to be putting a little bug in their ear, like, hey man, if football doesn't work out, I got a couple sports for you that you could go into. So it's crazy to think how some of these just freaks from football, if they were to go into strongman or Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting or even bodybuilding.
Yeah, the amount of like 500-pound plus bench presses, 700-pound squats, 400-pound hang cleans with bad technique, like the amount of power in these weight rooms that these guys just retire and they're done.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, just another football tie-in question. How does your body feel now? Like, I felt like I was beat up playing football, and I got into competing in strongman, and obviously not nearly at the level of you. But I just got back into strongman training here this past couple weeks, and dude, I am just beat to shit. Like, strongman training just freaking demolishes your body. I think strongman beats me up more than playing 4 years of D1 football ever did. How's your body feeling these days?
I had an interesting experience with football. I had both in high school and in college, I had teams that were very adamant about um, saving the full contact for game day. Like we weren't like an ultra competitive, Oklahoma drill every week type teams. So I think as far as total impacts throughout my football career, I got way less. Like I have guys that I talked to that played, D1, D2, or just even different D3s, and they came out of it, beat to hell, needing 1 or 2 surgeries when they got done or during. I didn't have any of that. I got real fortunate with football. So I didn't feel beat up at all playing football. Yeah, I would echo the same thing. I am way, way more beat up playing or doing strongman. And it's mostly just because the professional schedule just stacks prep after prep after prep. And I compete way less than most guys. I will not do more than 4 shows a year. I'm just not going to do it because I want to have stack, 2 or 3 blocks of training to prepare or to recover from the previous one. If you compete 8 times a year, you're not actually doing any training. You're just kind of working out, keeping your body in one piece and going to the next show.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So we talked a little bit about it before we started recording. Run me through again, just the timeline of show to show to show to show, that stretch that you're in right now.
Sure. So I may be off by a week or so on each of these, but we do the Arnold. It was 10 weeks between the Arnold and World's Strongest Man. There's 12 weeks between World's Strongest Man and Strongest Man on Earth. There is, I think it's eight. It's either 8 or 10 weeks between Strongest Man on Earth and Rogue Invitational. And for me, in between there is America's Strongest Man, which I'm doing because of kind of a bit of personal pride. I like American Strongman. I want to include American Strongman. It's like 2 weeks out from Rogue Invitational. So I'm just going to treat America's Strongest Man as my last heavy workout before Rogue Invitational. But yeah, basically it just stacks prep after prep after prep. For the Arnold, I had the luxury of we have, 4 weeks to 8 weeks of off season and then like 10 weeks of proper build in. But once you hit the Arnold, you're in prep mode all year.
Yeah, that's an insane schedule. And I'm sure most people don't really take that into account. I mean, just one singular show prep. I mean, that's going to take a toll on you. I mean, you're just in there banging for 8 to 10 weeks or whatever it is. Then you do the competition itself, which beats you up. But to do 4 shows where you're just literally going prep, compete, prep, compete, prep, compete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you navigate that? Like, do you almost have to kind of prioritize 1 or 2 of those shows to say, look, these are the ones I'm going all in for. These other 2, I'm just going to go check the box. And do you have to put more effort into 1 or 2 of those preps, or do you try to go balls to the wall for all of them?
Yeah. So the way we're structuring the year, and we're still kind of learning this because this is going to unless I don't get invited to Rogue Invitational, which I can't see why I wouldn't. This will very likely be my first year doing all 4 of the majors. So this is kind of our experiment year of what are the points in the year to hit the gas pedal? When are the points to pull back? And I feel as though for me, the 2 shows where I'm going to go, you just pedal to the floor is Arnold and Strongest Man on Earth. Mostly because those are the 2 heaviest, they're the 2 biggest, it's just the biggest taxation on the body, really. And World's Strongest Man and Rogue kind of being the short peaks after those. It's kind of, let's take 3 or 4 weeks to get the body feeling okay again, really dial back on training. And then the last 4 weeks is just let's try to maintain some of that strength we had for the Arnold or for Strongest Man on Earth and just feel good. There's a lot of things that are going to have to just decide to dial back because you just can't do them year round. Certain, peaking protocols for squat, deadlift, for events, certain moving events, you just have to accept I'm good at it. I'm going to practice it twice. I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's just, for me, I feel like it's going to be those 2 preps are going to be all in training the hell out of every event. World's Strongest Man and Rogue Invitational is kind of being, let's prep hard, but let's be really strategic about it.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a smart approach. Is there, what's the pressure like to do all the shows? I mean, when you're a top guy, when Strongman is your income, it's putting bread on your table. Do you just feel this pressure? I got to do this show. I got to do this show. Maybe I don't want to do this show, but I got to do this show. Or yeah. Sponsor guys, thank you for tuning in and supporting the podcast. I just wanted to take a minute to give a shout out over to my guys at Troponent Supplements. So they're the sponsor of the podcast, and in my opinion, they carry the best supplements on the market, and it's not even close. And they're the one company that I've wanted to align myself with. As a nutrition coach working with NFL football players, other professional athletes, strongman competitors, bodybuilders, powerlifters, fitness enthusiasts, endurance athletes, I have to be very particular about any supplement company I endorse. And with Troponent Supplements, frankly, it was a no-brainer. These are the products I've been using myself for the last few years, before I ever became involved with the company. I know the owner personally, Justin Harris. He is one of the brilliant minds in the bodybuilding industry, and we've talked, and all he has wanted to do is just bring some of the elite top-of-the-line products to the market, and that's what he's done. So these are the products I recommend and endorse to all my athletes, all my clients. I use myself, and I want to pass this along to you guys as well. So I'm going to highlight a couple products here. First and foremost, we've got the ATP. This is a high dose of caffeine paired with a very powerful nootropic. I take this before work. I take this before I podcast. This is going to give you a great boost in mood, in focus, memory enhancement. You're just going to feel like you took the Limitless pill when you use ATP. It's an effervescent tablet. You drop it in your water, it dissolves, tastes great. The next product, Field Rations. This is the premier intra-workout supplement on the market right now. It's a one-stop shop for all your intra-workout needs. It's based in highly branched cyclic dextrin, contains essential amino acids, electrolytes, tastes amazing. I use this within every training session. Then we've got the Suppressor Max. This is awesome for controlling your blood sugar. It's got a high dose of berberine, but then has complementary ingredients that are going to keep the berberine bioavailable and stay in your system longer. This is the best blood sugar product on the market. If you're bulking, if you're eating a ton of food, if you're using a cheat meal, this is a great product for you. And then finally, I love this one. I've always had sleep issues. Hit the Rack. This is one of the best sleep products I've ever tried. I use it about 30 minutes before bed most nights, and this has been the one supplement that has actually helped me fall asleep and stay asleep. And then of course, we got the Troponent T logo bodybuilding jersey and the hat. We've got great apparel on the site. So guys, check out Troponent Supplements. You can find the link in the show notes, in the bio, or you can simply just Google Troponent Supplements. Use code HECK, capital HECK, at checkout for a discount. Check them out, guys. These are some of the best products on the market.
Who's pressuring you? Are the promoters putting pressure on? How does that work? So I don't have any sponsor pressure, thankfully. I mean, two of my three sponsors are essentially Brian Shaw. It's Undefined Nutrition and Evolution Athletics. They're both him and his wife Carrie's companies. And Brian very much was a guy that was like, choose your battles, keep your body intact, compete when it matters, but don't compete all the time. So he completely understands. We've talked about kind of the strategy, and he did the same thing and for most of his career. And most of the years where he had big issues was when he competed too much, admittedly. So there's no sponsor pressure. I personally have no issue telling a show no. It'll be hard if there's ever a situation in my life where I have to tell one of the four majors no, but it might come up. It might. And if I think for a lot of the guys, they're so afraid of losing their spot in line because it took so much to get there that they're afraid to ever say no, even if they're blatantly hurt. Like we've seen guys show up to shows just a wreck. So, and then on top of it, the guys will say yes to every Giants Live that reaches out, every Strongman Champions League that reaches out. They'll do some Pro-Am somewhere. They'll do North America's Strongest Man, which is another show that I really love. And it's killing me to say I might not do it this year. I want to. I've done it the last 2 years, but it's just like that's 3 or 4 weeks out from Strongest Man on Earth. And who knows how my body's going to feel. So it's just, I have no issue saying no. And I think some of the promoters may take it personal, but I feel like if you're good enough to earn your spot, you're good enough to earn your spot again. So I don't have an issue saying no.
Yeah. And I would imagine turning some of these shows down ultimately will set you up to have more success at the shows you need to, because you're actually getting to have an off season, right? You're actually able to put together training blocks where you're addressing weaknesses. You're actually coming in fresher, right? Whereas if you're just prepping and prepping and prepping, just doing event work, I mean, you're not necessarily getting stronger, right? You're just practicing the events and just trying not to get hurt a lot of the time. Why do some of the competitors just do way too many shows? Is it they just need, it's a prize money grab? Is like, what example? What's a lot of shows for a
well, so I feel like a lot of guys are comfortable doing 6 or 7 shows. Some even do more. I mean, they obviously just understand they're not properly prepping for all these shows, and not all of them are like Strongest Man on Earth. They're, an SCL is light, a Giants Live show is light, but it's fast paced. So like it's going to challenge you in a different way. I mean, Hooper did 9 shows last year. But aside from Hooper, most of the guys that are competing 8 or 9 times a year are not winning enough prize money to justify that strategy. They're maybe getting prize money at 2 or 3 of the 6, and they're getting like the 5th place prize money. Right. The Hooper's, he's going first or second in everything because he's just reached a point where a lot of these shows are percentage work for him. He has the resources to recover as he needs to. And he's a little bit of a freak, and he also doesn't care to be in the sport for 10 years. So he's okay with hurting more than the rest of us because he's like, I'm out in like 2 years. So I think for most of these guys, they think, yeah, it's the better financial strategy to compete 8 or 9 times. But at the end of the day, they're not winning anything. So what's the point? Right. And
yeah, again, that just brings me back to the thought process of, dude, you'd probably make more money if you just actually took some time to have an off season, get generally stronger, get generally better, come in fresher so you actually can place higher at the shows you do compete in and then win more money. I mean, it's just, yeah, but God, 9 competitions in 1 year. It's insane. And another thing that I think people don't think about when you're huge, just traveling, like, especially if you're traveling internationally, like that takes a fucking toll on your body.
Yeah.
Like if you're taking a 12-hour flight or whatever, I mean, just the swelling in your legs, your ankles, you're crammed into a chair. Has that been an issue for you?
Oh yeah, it sucks. It's 100% the reason why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but like, let's say that's why I'm not as interested in Giants Live. I don't want to fly to the UK to compete for 5 hours. Yes, there's good prize money. Yes, it's good opportunity. Yes, those crowds are awesome. I'd love to do it. But I hate international travel. Yeah. I absolutely hate it. And it's just, I have a full schedule already. So, and then guys will also, they'll justify it like, oh, the show's light. It's just a 1-day show. It's not a big deal. But no matter what, you tell me you did, or you say you didn't do this, you did. You deloaded for a week. You go do the show. You get jet lagged. You fly back. Your internal clock is messed up. You're at least not having a good session till probably Thursday of that next week. You just lost 2 weeks of training and wrist injury, and you got 4th, so you didn't win any money anyways. Like there's not a lot of thought. I get the one argument I do understand is essentially once you're in the big 4 major shows, there's 10 guys that get to go to the big 4 major shows, and there's 200 guys that are realistically in range or think they're in range. There's 200 guys fighting for 10 spots. And so I get why guys will like never turn down an opportunity.
Yeah.
They're like, I might not get another one. And that's a completely valid argument because you might not. Right.
What do you think about a guy like Martins Leis, who I just saw that he's going to be, supposedly making return? A guy who, has a few years where he's dominating and winning, and then basically just steps away and takes how long? I mean, it's been a couple of years since he competed or whatever. I mean, do you think that could be a viable strategy for competitors? Like, hey, win a couple big shows, bounce for a couple years, do your thing, heal up, and then do something like that.
Potentially. It's hard. He's in such a unique position. Because I mean, he'll even admit he burned the candle at both ends for too long, and that's why some things broke. And then him and Romark have, had a lot of success on YouTube and running the gym and doing a lot of other business things. So yeah, like he may, but I think the big hill that he has to now overcome is his life is completely different than it was when he was competing.
Mm-hmm.
And to put together just all the little things that have regressed,
right?
Building up that base again, I think will always take longer than you think. And it's like, are you really in a position to go all in like you used to be? And I feel like to me, that would be such a hard task. I don't know personally if anyone can do it. It's probably Martins. the interesting argument on that is like he won Worlds, he won the Arnold, he won a couple other big shows. Like a guy like Novikov has won Worlds. Is it okay for a guy like that to step away for a few years and then just decide I'm going to come back and I just get invited to these shows that only get 10 spots when I haven't competed in 2 years?
Yeah.
I almost have a problem with that. And I love all those guys that I just mentioned, but just because the sport is becoming so competitive again, or not again, it just is. The depth is bigger than it ever has been. More than likely, when those guys decide to return, of course, they're probably going to be at a top 10 at the Arnold Classic level because they are those guys. But I do have a bit of a problem stepping away for a couple of years and then being like, yeah, I'm still one of the top 10 in the world. I'm like, how do we know? Right? There's some dude who's been grinding himself to death to earn that spot that's not going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's a weird, on that specific topic, I'm a little bit conflicted. And it's nothing against Martins or Thor or any of these guys, because there's guys that have stepped away and come back and done really, really well. But I that one little element of it, I don't know if I like.
Well, kind of building off of that, and I don't want you to, directly, talk down on anyone specifically, but just this concept in general. Do you think some of these guys who have kind of that big image outside of the sport, the Thors, right? Who's huge, he's, celebrity status, Martins, huge on YouTube and all this. Do they kind of get a special treatment because of just the eyes on them, the viewership, the theater and all that? And are guys like that given advantages in the sport?
I don't think they get direct advantages at the show. My one critique is probably that like they can just say, I want to come, and they get to come.
Right.
And I think I don't know how long that period of time off is where I'm like, okay, why? Right. Maybe it's a year, maybe not a year, but 2 years, 3 years, whatever. As far as when they actually show up to the contest, they sell most of the tickets. At the expo, they do meet and greets. They all do all kinds of stuff that just gets many positive eyes on our sport. But as far as a competitive advantage, I don't think they get anything from the promoters or anything like that. Yeah, it's that one element of it of like, because there's only 10 spots and there's maybe when they left the sport, there was 100 guys fighting for the spots. There's 200 now. Right. That's my only thing that I have. I don't know. I don't even have a solution to the problem I'm bringing up, and it's not even that big of a problem, but I just, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that thought, but it's been something I've been kicking around.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the nature of sports, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to have the integrity of the competition, and everyone earns their spot, this and that. But the sport's got to make money, right?
Yeah.
And the promoters got to make money, and all those.
And a lot of these shows kind of, in the case of World's Strongest Man, literally has the rule of if you've won Worlds, you can just come. If you are a winner, you're always a World's Strongest Man winner. I don't know if the other shows officially have that policy. I know Strongest Man on Earth doesn't. But yeah, it's like once you win one of the majors, you kind of have this like legend status where you're kind of treated a little different as far as invites. And those are some of the only guys that are actually seem to be comfortable turning down invitations,
Right.
because they know that they can get back into the mix. Like,
Yeah,
there's no issue. Martins has no issue saying no. Like, yeah, it's just, you reach a different status.
Right. I think it's actually the same in bodybuilding. Like if you win the Olympia, you're basically have a forever invite into the show. So that's interesting. Well, all right, getting more into just you and your career, you kind of mentioned early on in the episode that you kind of thought where you are at now was probably a few years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you think, what are the factors that just expedited this whole rise to where you are?
I think all of the things that I would suggest someone to do if they wanted to be one of the top 10 in the world, whether intentionally or by accident, I did them all at the same time. I went all in. I got rid of the stressful parts of my life. I did what I could to get the mental health in order. I found a coach. I was self-coached prior to making the leap. And the coach I picked, Alec Bagan, has been incredible. We've been together the 3.5 years at this point. And the athlete I was when I first started with him to now it's not even the same thing. I started to dial in nutrition, recovery, a lot of these things, working at the gym and coaching. I got to think about the sport more hours of the day than my competition did. running a gym, the amount of GPP you get moving implements, I'm really good at moving stuff. Right? Like I just made my life into a thing that makes me better at strongman. And a lot of people have invested a lot in me, whether it's my business partners or my coach is honest. I call him, it's weird to even call him coach. He's like my best friend. I'm with him every day. He's my roommate. He moved across the country to coach me and a couple other people. He's at every session, right? We've brought other training partners and other clients in to train during that time block. We train at the same time, 4 days a week. We're together. Like I just designed a life that made me good at strongman, and 2.5, 3 years in, we got good at strongman.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, that's the formula right there, isn't it? I mean, that's treating yourself like a professional. Like that's how you live as a professional athlete. And do you feel like now this is kind of the negative side of if you're chasing being elite at anything, it's hard to have balance in your life, right? It's you're obviously social life, relationships, things like that have a tendency to fall off. Have you found it difficult to maintain balance in your life this way?
Yeah, honestly, the main thing, my main struggle, and I've been trying to work on it, especially, friends that I have outside of this circle, because what I do, being at the gym all the time, coaching, training, running the gym, and I live with one of my business partners and my coach. Like it's so immersive that if somebody is outside of that circle, I have a really hard time maintaining those relationships in the way that I know that I should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking a decent amount of effort to create time for those people, because those people, they were so important in my life prior to this. They still are now. It's just, I'm all consumed. I have a strange schedule. It's not I work Monday to Friday and I have Saturday, Sunday off. Like people have a hard time predicting when I'm free.
Right.
So yeah, that has been a weird learning curve, and I'm still not good at it. I'm admittedly actually bad at it.
I mean, it's just kind of a necessary evil. Like no matter what you're trying to be elite at, whether you're trying to be a CEO, whether you're trying to be an elite athlete, whatever, it's just almost impossible to have complete balance in your life because the work and time and commitment you've got to pour into your craft. It's literally impossible to have the balance. It's got to dominate your life, and that's oftentimes what separates the great from the recreational and the guys who kind of never go anywhere with this. So touching on your coaching relationship, I'm curious about this because I'm a coach and I've been a coach my whole career. I can kind of see two sides of this coin where you've got this really close personal relationship with the coach, where that can be a very good thing because you have a great rapport, there's a great trust, an emotional connection. But for some people, that could be a bad thing because it becomes harder. You can lose that coach athlete relationship. And then what the coach is telling you, you're not hearing it from the coach, you're hearing it from your roommate. Sure. And that's taking criticism, the feedback you're receiving, it can be received differently when there's a personal relationship there. Talk about that a little bit. Just that coaching relationship in general?
Yeah, I think we've had a couple years to really hash that out. Because almost all of those examples you brought up, we've dealt with.
Yeah, sure.
Where it's like, it just, we've intertwined our lives probably more than you should. But he's one of my favorite people in the world. We work really well together. He helps out with stuff at the gym. Living together has been pretty easy. But yeah, at some point we'll go beyond this. We're gonna move on with our lives, and at some point we're not gonna live together and
Right.
all that stuff. But for now, the arrangement's really working, and we're in a good groove with it. What's cool is we got a spare bedroom at the house, and so he's got athletes all over the place that are starting to talk about coming to train for a couple weeks at a time. So we've just set up a really cool hub with the gym in our house to have people come train with us and just kind of keep building this beyond the walls of the gym. It's been cool.
That's awesome. And just building off of what you just said, do you feel like there's a lot of value in trying to bring in other really strong dudes to kind of push you in training? Like, are you bringing in other pro guys to come, train with you, collaborate with, push each other, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've reached a point where locally I don't really, there's nobody who's like a one-to-one training partner I can tap into, but we do have a group of 4 or 5 athletes, a couple of which are pros that are training at the same time. My gym has Aaron Murray, who's won multiple World's Strongest Woman titles. Zach McCarley's won multiple world titles at 90 kilos and 105. We got Angelica Jardine. She's won the Arnold on the women's side and won America's Strongest Women as well. So it's like we already have some of those pros in the gym. So it's like I don't have one-to-one training partners, but I do have a lot of minds to just bounce ideas off of and technique. And it's like the magic of our gym is the right minds are in the room. Like there's no other collection of pros and like titles in one place and collection of coaches in one place. We also have Kevin Simmons. He's known on the weightlifting side of things. So he's coached a couple athletes to be on Team USA for weightlifting, and his whole weightlifting team and weightlifting hall moved into our gym. So it's just this awesome melding of minds in one spot. And now we're bringing in, there will be some pros from other places that are going to come in and come train, mostly being Alex clients. But yeah, it's been a really crazy experience of getting the right people in the room.
I think that's huge. I think that's an underrated factor in all this. Just having other strong guys, whether they're strongmen or they're weightlifters or whatever, just having other good athletes in the gym with you, it pushes you. It just builds a competitive atmosphere. When you're around like-minded people, everyone's training hard. The vibes in the gym. I think that is such an advantage and an important factor in training, especially when you're chasing the level that you're chasing. You need someone to push you, right? If you're always just the strongest, the best guy in the room, and there's no one else there who can hold a candle to you, right? You're the big fish in the small pond. It becomes a little bit harder to progress. Let me ask you this, just as far as kind of, YouTube, social media, things like that. How do you kind of balance, on one hand, you probably want to put some training content out there, right? For the sponsors, the views, the YouTube, all that. But on the other hand, I'm sure to an extent, you don't want to give too much away. Is that something you think about? Or do you just kind of post your lifts out there freely? Do you try to keep things under wraps?
So as far as like training footage, there are some training concepts that between me and Alec, it's something he came up with or got for somebody else. Honestly, no strength coach is inventing stuff. There weren't, right? Like there's not a ton of original ideas. But there's certain like ways that we train certain events that we just don't post, because that's something that the team knows how to do. That's what we're going to do. But I really don't like the guys that will post like no videos in a whole Arnold prep or a whole Worlds prep. Yes. That stuff that's for the fans. Probably 15 minutes. Sorry, somebody's came in. So that stuff's for the fans. It builds excitement. Like the guys who were posting videos for the Arnold, me, Hooper, Evan Singleton. If you look at Strongman Reddit, that's what they're talking about. It's like this guy posted this, Thor posted this, and they just get excited. And it's like that builds conversation around the sport. I'm totally okay with that. I'm never going to hide my numbers. There might be occasionally a one-off event where I will. Where I am torn is with YouTube. I have a couple of really in-depth how-to technique videos on YouTube that I did early on, and people loved them. They're mostly tailored towards overhead events. But I literally saw my competitors adapt techniques I did in those videos, and they exactly do what I said, and they didn't do it before. I can't take 100% credit for that because there's a lot of good technique stuff out there, but I am torn to give away all my technical advice. I've played with maybe put it behind a paywall or something, because I think the most value I can really add to the Strongman community. Yes, we do a lot of cool commentary and stuff like that, but the best value I think I can really add is my technical knowledge, but I'm scared to give it all away. So I might just I have a membership part of my YouTube that I haven't really pushed yet. I think I may put it in the membership part, but we'll see.
That's a good idea. And I think you're exactly right. I love it when the competitors post their training. Like you said, it gets buzz around things, right? The fans talk about it. I'm sure the sponsors appreciate it. The promoters appreciate it. Like people want to see that stuff. It's interesting. I mean, I want to see that stuff. And I mean, it's not like you're giving too much away. Like you said, you keep certain strategic elements under wraps. You don't put out all of your training protocols or, all the techniques that you're utilizing, but you stir up a little bit of buzz. And I think that's a good thing. Um, what are some of your best and what are some of your favorite single lifts or single events that you've posted so far in your career?
Sure. I'm mostly known for overhead, which I think puts you in a box of people assume you're like the slow fat guy who's good at overhead, which I am kind of a slow fat guy who's good at overhead, but I keep doing well in speed events. So, but no, overhead's definitely the standout. Like anything with a dumbbell, circus dumbbell, it's just free points. I've only lost a circus dumbbell one time in my entire career, and I got second to Rob Kearney. But funny enough, I've never done over 285. I know I can do well into 300, but I've never had a reason to. I've done a 465 log in contest, and that was just enough to win the event. I didn't keep going. I'm hoping there's a max log sometime soon because I want to put up. The American record is not over 500 pounds, and I think that is a shame. Bobby has it at 478. I want a 500-pound log, and I think I have it in me. I wish there was more squats in strongman. I want to do, like World's Strongest Man used to have like 700 for reps at every World's Strongest Man. I want them to bring that back. I will reveal this. They're not doing that at Worlds this year, and that bums me out. But squats have always been a huge strong point for me. I've done 750 for 8, I did 600 for 20. That's probably, honestly, on the scale of like all of my lifting, probably the most nutty set I've ever done with 600 for 20.
Jesus, dude, 600 for 20. I mean, you got a hell of basic conditioning if you can knock that out. I mean, I'm more impressed with the conditioning component than the shit. I don't even know if I could do 315 for 20 right now. That's crazy.
I just cycled the first 13, just take a small breath at the top on the first 13 reps, and then it was, I think, 2, 2, 2, 1 to finish, or whatever, if I did my math right there.
Got it. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer here. I'll just hit you with a couple more questions. What are your weak points right now? What are the things that you need to address the most as a competitor?
I can't say what the World's Strongest Man events are, but I can say that some of the events we're doing at the show are some of my quote unquote weak points, which I'm using as an opportunity to kind of lean into those weaknesses and really like push those. I think my conditioning is a bit of a weak point, or it has been, and I think it's getting better every show. I have outperformed training on medleys almost every time. Grip historically has been a weak point, but I was the only guy at the Arnold that didn't drop the frame. So like we're on a really good roll with training grip. And throwing has been a weak point. I was a thrower in college, but vertical throwing, or the throws that come up in strongman very much favor people with longer levers.
Right.
I guess track and field throwing does too. And I have a long torso, short limbs, which is like the worst way to design a throwing apparatus. Like I'm not built to throw. Or what else? And the only other event that my Achilles heel for my whole career has been arm over arm rope, like seated rope pull. Don't know why. Always struggle with it. I did good at Strongest Men on Earth. Ended up 9th, which for me might as well have been first. Because out of 16 guys getting 9th, that was pretty cool. Grip, conditioning, throwing, and arm over arm have been struggles, and we're gonna get to address a few of those at World's Strongest Man.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm sure the grip's another one that's suited towards taller guys. When you've got a really big hand with long fingers, that gives you a major advantage in grip event.
I do. Like, how do you do? I've only met a couple guys that have bigger hands than me. I have weirdly big hands for a 6-foot guy, but they're kind of chubby. But what the issue really was, I used to say grip is my strongest thing. As I've gotten larger, I'm a stomach sleeper. I sleep on my arms. I was starting to have nerve issues. Yeah, hands. Brian Shaw and Thor both had this in an extreme way. Like they both had to have surgical intervention to fix it. I just listened to stuff they've put out and adjusted some habits so that I don't do that as much anymore. But there was a year and a half period where my hands, especially like these two fingers, I was telling them to close and they weren't closing. Like but not hard. Like, I was legitimately having nerve issues because I was getting larger and sleeping on my arms. And I've had to really adjust lifestyle. And now I would consider grip a bit of a strong point, but I regressed big.
Got it. Well, ladies, you heard it here first. Lucas Hatton has very big hands. So keep that in mind. All right, man. We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm just going to end it on this. Like, what's your mindset going into World's Strongest Man? Are you coming for the podium again? You going for the win? Is there a certain guy that you want to specifically beat? What's your thought process going in?
I want to end the show on the podium. I think is in the case of the kind of events that show up at Worlds, I'm still somewhat event dependent. I think there is a way that I can win this show, but a lot of cards are stacked against me in that sense. But I do think there's a realistic chance I can end up top 3. The first hurdles, I got to make the final. This is an interesting format show. I haven't had a show with a final in a long time, so got to get out of the groups. There's some challenging events for me in the groups. So for sure, get out of the groups. Got to make the final. If I don't make the final, we're going to be through some very sad day drinking in the crowd during the final. But no, I should make the final. Fingers crossed. But then if I'm in the final, the goal was top 3, and I think that's attained.
Awesome. Well, by the time you guys are listening to this, we'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks out from World's Strongest Man. So I'm going to be watching you. I'm cheering for you, man. I've been a fan of you now for a few years. I think what you've been doing here lately is awesome. I think everything you stand for is awesome. So I'll be pulling for you hard, man. In the meantime, where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's well, I should actually know that. I think it's lucas.hatton, just my name. And then on YouTube, I'm really trying to grow YouTube. So the best thing you do is help me out. To help me out is to follow on YouTube. It's Hatton Strength. Putting out it's one of the last pure strongman channels. We're putting out training videos. We're putting out how-tos. We're putting out commentary on shows. We're doing show predictions. We're talking training concepts. There's not going to be like dumb eating challenges or clickbait or any of that stuff. We're just talking strongman. So Hatton Strength on YouTube, biggest thing you can do to help me out.
Cool. Well, guys, you heard it here. Go check him out. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Follow him on Instagram. As for myself, guys, if you're a strongman competitor and you're listening to this, I'm doing nutrition coaching for a lot of strongman. I'm working with a handful of pro guys right now. So if you're interested in nutrition coaching and you're a competitor, shoot me a DM or go through my website, hammerchiselperformance.com. I've also got a few training programs for sale on the site. And for Troponent Supplements, guys, you use code HECK at checkout. Anyway, Lucas, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Appreciate you having me.
All right. Good luck at World's Strongest Man, and we'll catch you guys later.